I'm a mum to 4 children and I've decluttered 70% of my house over the last 2 years. If you're after some ideas of what to declutter in your home or even where to get started, stick with this video. I'm going to be giving you some really good tips that you can use. We're going to make this easy, so don't worry about it. Grab a drink, get your notepad and paper, and let's get stuck straight in, shall we? Okay, so the first part of the house I want you to start with is the kitchen. The reason why I want you to start there is because usually the kitchen is the hub of the home. It definitely is in our house. And this is where I started, and I'm so glad that I did because I spend most of my time in the kitchen. I always used to hate cooking, so having so many things in the kitchen just used to put me off at dinner times. But since I decluttered a lot of my kitchen, I got so much more room. I've also got less things to manage, less things to wash, and also I've got more motivation to start cooking in the first place because I've just got a calm and clear space to work with. So let's start off with your cutlery drawer. Have a little look through. You do not need endless amounts of wooden spoons, spatulas, ladles, tin openers, peelers, and if you've got more than one of each of those things, take them out of the drawer. You can always keep some of them and just pop them in a box and maybe put them in a spare cupboard. But if you want to be ruthless, get rid of multiple items. You do not need more than one of each of those things. I do own 2 spatulas, and that's because I use them quite a lot. Don't worry about being wasteful. Also, try not to worry too much about the money that you've spent. It is all about your time that is more precious, and also your headspace as well. I just find it so much easier now. I've got less things in my kitchen. The next thing I want you to do is look through your cup cupboard. I recently decluttered my cups and I've got so much more room in here now, and what you'll usually find is the cups that you don't normally use will be right at the back of the cupboard. So have a little look at the back of the cupboard, at the top of your cupboard, and if you're finding cups that are just still there and you haven't used them for a while, that's a good indicator that you can get rid of those. You don't need over 50 cups, especially if you're like a family of 2 or 3. We're a family of 6 and we definitely don't own more than 20 cups. So just get rid of those. It'll be less to wash and less to put away anyway. Next thing you can go through is your spices. I recently did this, and have a look at the out of date labels. Have a look if anything's expired, get rid of it. Also, are there spices in your cupboard that you're just not using? Do you have an endless amount of food tubs? I recently went through my food tubs, got rid of any food tubs that were just a little bit overworn, any tubs that had cracks in them, ones that didn't have lids to start with, and I got rid of the spare lids as well. Look through your fridge and your cupboards as well. Do you have things like sauces in your fridge that you don't use? Have a little look through at things like packets of sauces. I used to have a bit of an obsession with picking up packets of sauces, thinking that I was going to be a better cook if I just got these packets, but to be honest, I don't even use them. So recently I went through and had a look, and I found so many out of date packets of sauces, so it's surprising what you can find. Also have a look through, have you got anything that's out of date tin wise, and have you got any tins that you don't even use? So here we've got a local food bank, and I just take the foods to the food bank. I know it's not going to go to waste, but you could also give it to family and friends. Also, do you have any kitchen gadgets that you don't use? I recently got rid of a food blender that I'd been holding on to for 3 years and I just didn't use it. Have you got any blenders that you don't use? Any things like an electric can opener, coffee machines, things like that that you just don't use, cake mixers, just get rid of them. Honestly, these things take up so much room like you wouldn't believe. So if you get rid of these things, you'll save so much room in your kitchen cupboards, on your kitchen counters, and you'll definitely thank yourself for it. Go through your pots and pans as well. So have a little look through. Is there anything that's non-stick anymore? Is there anything that is overly scratched? Do you have an endless amount of pots and pans that you just don't use? Honestly, I've got 3 saucepans in 3 different sizes and I definitely use them. I've also got 1 frying pan, 1 wok, and then 1 smaller frying pan, and literally that's it. I've also got a few baking pans, 2 thin baking pans and 2 thick baking pans, but that's all I've got, and it's saved up so much room in my kitchen. Okay, let's move on to the bathroom now. So the first thing I want you to go through are your shampoos and your conditioners and your shower gels. Are there anything that you're not using anymore? Maybe you've bought certain products and they just haven't done anything for you. For instance, I've got so many hair care products that I just don't use because I've used them and they've made my hair really sticky, or they made my hair too weighted down, or they just didn't agree with my hair at all. If you've got stuff that you don't use, you can always give it to family and friends. That's what I've done in the past. Also have a little look through any travel toiletries that you don't use anymore. It's surprising, you might have things that are half used up from old holidays, or you might have bought things and just not even liked them. Also, if you've got things like bath salts or bath bombs that you don't use, I also got rid of all my body lotion. If you don't use them, you can always give them away, or you could use them to make gift hampers in the future as well if they're brand new bottles. Do you have any hair gadgets that you don't use? I recently went through and found loads of hair curlers that I don't use anymore. I got rid of them. It is really hard to give those things to charity, so either sell them or give them to family and friends, or if you literally can't get rid of them, you do need to just bin them. I know it sounds like a bit of a waste, but if you're not using them, they can take up so much room. All those cords and things are such a pain in the bum to look after as well, so just get rid of them. Honestly. Have a little look through your makeup as well and have a look, is there any makeup that you've just had for a very long time? Makeup expires as well, and by keeping the certain products like eyeshadows and mascaras that you've had open for more than a year, if you have a look at the back of the makeup, it'll have a little pot, and on there it will say something like 3 months or 6 months, and that just means when you open that item is recommended to be used up within that time frame, because it can grow bacteria and it can give you infections and things like that. I've had mascara do that to me in the past, so I only keep a mascara now for 3 months, even if it's not used up. To be honest, within 3 months that mascara's gone a little bit gloopy anyway, so it's just best to get rid of it. Next up, let's move on to your bedroom. There are 2 videos on this channel. One is full of tips on how to have a more minimal wardrobe and how to declutter your wardrobe as well. So that is for adults. And then I've also done a tips video on how to declutter kids' clothing as well, because I've got 4 kids. So I will leave those 2 videos in my description box, but I am going to be making future videos like that as well. But what we are going to go to in the wardrobe are shoes. I recently decluttered a whole box full of going out shoes, and that is because I was holding on to them. They were all high heels, and I don't wear high heels anymore, and I don't want to be uncomfortable on a night out. Have a little look through. Have you got any shoes that you don't use? Have you got any shoes that don't match with any outfits? So you might have shoes that are just mismatched colours, or colours that don't go with any outfits that you've got already. Have you got any shoes that are overworn as well? Have a look at the heels. Are the heels starting to wear down? Have you got any holes in them? Also check the sizes. Do they still fit you? Are they too small? Are they a little bit tight? And also check the comfort factor. Have a little walk around in your house. Do wear 2 shoes, because I remember that time when you used to try shoes on in a shoe shop when you were little, and your mum would make you wear 1 shoe, and that just looks weird. So put 2 shoes on. It's surprising how much space shoes can take up. Also have a look through your bags and your going out bags. So I recently did this and I got rid of quite a few going out bags. So now I've got 1 going out bag, 1 everyday bag, because I've started using phone bags now, which are little bags and you can just fit your phone and your money and your keys in there. And then I've got a backpack as well, which is what I take out with me when I'm going out with my little girls. So I've literally got 3 bags, and honestly you do not need an endless amount of bags. Maybe keep 1 special occasion bag that's going to go with lots of different outfits, and those endless amount of bags that you're keeping hold of just in case are never gonna get used, so just declutter them. You could always sell them on places like Vinted and get some money back and use that to take yourself out. Just don't use it to buy more bags. Let's go through your sock drawer now. Have a little look through. Have you got any socks that are odd to start with? Have you got any socks with holes in? Are they overly worn? Like, are they fading, or are they just very bobbly, or just super thin? I get so many socks that are really thin on the heel because they're overworn. Get rid of them. You don't need to go out and buy more. Honestly, you don't need an endless amount of socks. Also, if you've got loads of socks that are just in all different colours, I've got a small selection of socks in my drawer now. So I've got my winter socks, I've got a few dark coloured thermal socks in my drawer. I've also got some dark coloured ankle socks which go with boots, and then I've got trainer socks and sports socks. Do declutter them. Honestly, if you need more socks in the future, you can always just go out and buy some more. Go through your jewellery as well. Do you have loads of jewellery that you don't use? I used to make jewellery, so the amount of costume jewellery that I had that I just didn't use, I got rid of it all. I don't wear jewellery anymore. The only thing I do wear is studs, and I've got a small box full of studs, and then I've got a tiny pair of hoops as well. Literally, that's all I wear. So if you're not wearing the jewellery, get rid of it. Don't hold on to it for sentimental value. You could always try selling stuff. I've sold so much silver and gold jewellery that I just don't wear anymore. It is pointless holding on to jewellery that you don't wear. It is surprising how much room it takes up, and you could always pass it on to someone else, give it to charity, or sell it, like I said, on Vinted. Vinted is amazing. You can also get rid of hangers. Hangers take up so much room in your closet or your wardrobe. I'm from the UK, so I say wardrobe. You'll have so much more room in your closet or your wardrobe. You'll be able to move your clothes as well and find things easier. This is something that I do quite a lot. I'll go through and constantly declutter my hangers. What I also find really handy is to have the thin hangers. I will link some really good hangers down below for you. There are some lovely velvet hangers that you can get on Amazon. By having thin hangers like this, saves so much room in your closet like you wouldn't believe. And the last thing in your bedroom is to have a look at decor. So if you've got things like fake flowers, if you've got any plants, photo frames, candles and pillows. To be honest, I went through my bedroom and I got rid of everything like that. There is less to dust, which has saved my time and energy like you wouldn't believe. I also don't have to take off cushions off my bed before I go to bed, which was driving me nuts. And trying to find room for those cushions as well while you're sleeping is such hard work. The only thing I do have is this back pillow that I absolutely love, but I just pop it on my chair next to me when I go to bed. Things like that collect dust like you wouldn't believe. You'll also have more clutter to look at before you go to bed, so your brain will be more overwhelmed and less clear. Now I sleep so much better since I decluttered my bedroom and I've got less things in there. Let's move on to your living room now. The first thing I want you to find is any furniture that you're not using, anything like side tables, buffets, bean bags, any storage units, bookcases. I've got rid of nearly every furniture item in my living room. There's now so much more room in this living room for me to chill out in and for my little girls to play in. There's also less things to look at. There's less things to dust. There's less things to put things on, because you know what it's like when you've got a bookcase. Your mind tells you you need to fill that up. So then there is more things to dust and more things to buy and more things to move around and more things to look at. Get rid of the furniture. You do not need it. If there's items that are really overworn or just not used enough, get rid of them. Give them to charity, give them to friends, and thank me later. Next, have a look. Is there any technology that you don't use? Anything like old TVs, phones, any laptops, anything like that that you don't use anymore. You don't need to hold on to it just because you spent money on those things. I recently got rid of a whole box of tech gadgets that I've been holding on to for such a long time. I found them dotted around my home. You'll probably find old wires and things that you don't know what they go with anymore, so get rid of those as well. Have you got any books or magazines in your living room as well? Don't hold on to these things for fear of missing out, that FOMO effect. Trust me, I've been there before. I used to have a pile of magazines that I just thought, you know what, one day I'm going to use those. But that day never came and they were just collecting dust, and I just kept looking at them thinking, I need to read those, I need to read those one day, and it was just putting more pressure on myself. So get rid of books and magazines that you don't use. You can always just go to the library if you want to have a magazine now and again or a book now and again, because a lot of libraries do rent out magazines as well. You can also ask friends and family if they've got any magazines that they don't want. So if you declutter those magazines, chances are that you're going to be able to just source them when you want them or when you need them. But to be honest, that day might not even come, so just get rid of them. You're not going to miss out. You don't know that information now, it doesn't matter if you don't know it in the future. The next thing is candles. I've got rid of every candle in my house. I used to have loads of Yankee candles, and you know Yankee candles can be a little bit pricey, and I was holding on to them for such a long time just because of the price tag, but I wasn't using them. I haven't lit candles since my little girls came along, and they're 7 now. Do you also have extra cushions on your chairs that are laying around? My kids have got a vendetta against cushions, so I've been forced to declutter against my will the cushions in my house, but do you know, I'm not even missing them. I haven't got any cushions in my living room now. Have you also got throws that you don't use, or any throws that just look a little bit messy? You can always give them to your local animal shelter or dog charity, or some charities will take them as well. And the last thing in the living room is any artwork or photo frames. They might be a little bit dated, or they don't go with your decor anymore. Just get rid of them. All right, let's move on to the desk or your office space if you've got one in your home. First up, let's go through the receipts. So if you've got any old receipts, have a little look through them, get rid of them. Nowadays, I get a lot of receipts sent to my email, so I don't have to keep paperwork like that. Have you got any bills that you need to pay? Get those paid, but if you've paid them and you don't need that paperwork anymore, shred it. Check your stationery as well. Do you have stationery that you don't use? Have you got pens that run out? Have you got things that are broken? Get rid of those as well. Have you got any notebooks that are either half used or fully used? Also, have you got any paperwork that is no longer needed? Any lamps that you're not using? I recently decluttered a lamp that was just sitting on my desk just in case, but I never used it. So if you've got any lamps or lights that you're not using, declutter those as well. Now we're going to the laundry cupboard, and this is a place where you'll keep like your blankets and your spare bedding and things like that. This also goes for laundry around your home. So if you're keeping laundry in drawers or on your bed or anything like that, just have a little look through. So let's start with pillows. Have you got an obscene amount of pillows that you're not using that you could do without? Sometimes people keep pillows just because they've bought them. I recently got rid of a V pillow that was being moved around from room to room and just wasn't getting used, and then it ended up in my laundry cupboard, taking up an obscene amount of space, and you know what, I just thought, let's just get rid of it. It was brand new. And I was also really ruthless with my duvet covers. All I've got now is 2 cotton bedding sets and 2 brushed cotton bedding sets. To be honest, I was actually going to have just 1 set, but I thought that might be a bit extreme because most of the time I'll wash my bedding and dry it in the tumble dryer the same day and then pop it straight back on my bed. So you could always do that if you want to be a bit ruthless, but I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't get it dry in time. I also went through all my kids' bedding, got rid of so much bedding. It's surprising how much room those duvet sets can take up. Have you got any blankets that you're not using? Because I've got 4 kids and we've been collecting fleece blankets for so many years, I had an insane amount of them and I just didn't need them. They take up so much room anyways. So I was really ruthless and I got rid of loads of those blankets. Also have a look through your towels as well. I only keep a small amount of towels in this house now, and I decluttered most of my bath sheets. The amount of bath sheets we were going through was insane, and I was finding it really hard to wash and dry them because they're so big. I swapped them to smaller towels, and I haven't got an insane amount of towels now like I used to. You could always have just 1 towel for each person, so you're doing less washing as well, and that is something that I've seen other people doing. Let's go and have a look in your attic or your basement, or anything that you're using for storage, maybe a shed, something like that. And let's start with the tools. Do you need all those screwdrivers that you've got? Have you got any saws that are a little bit rusty? Have you got any drills that don't work anymore? Or maybe you've got just loads of drills. Maybe you've bought drills that you thought, do you know what, that's rubbish, I'll buy a better one. Well, get rid of the other one that you're not using. Just get rid of it. You do not need it if you've got a better one. Chances are as well, you might have tools that you don't even know what they are, so get rid of them. Get rid of all those spanners that you don't need. I had so many spanners in my drawer recently. I also have nails and screws everywhere. I don't think I'll ever use them anyway. So just keep a small amount of things like that. Also, I'm very guilty of this, and this is having unused paint. I had so many tins of paint in my garage that just had the tiniest amount in. And also, if you've got any paint that's just dried up, any paint that you're not going to use, I only keep paint in this house now that's matching my walls. So I've got a little bit of this pink, and I'm only keeping that for touch-ups. You might still be holding on to paint that you don't even have on your walls anymore, so just get rid of it. You can always buy a similar colour again if you need it in the future, but to be honest, if you haven't used that paint yet, you probably never will use that colour again anyway. Are you also holding on to keepsakes? This is something that is really hard to get rid of. I do know that, but to be honest, just think that those items are not your memories. Your memories are in your head. So get rid of those things. You do not need to hold on to old clothing or old teddy bears. Something that I find really hard to get rid of is photos. So I always keep photos, but if they're in frames, you can get rid of the frames to save room. Have a little look through. You can always just bin them or donate things like that to charity. You do not need to hold on to keepsakes to keep your memories alive. You can also look through your holiday decorations. Have a look if you've got any Christmas decorations that you just haven't used for a while. Every year I'll go through my holiday decorations and have a look. Have I used those decorations this year? And if I haven't, I'll get rid of them. It saves you time and energy next year when you're taking out the decorations and putting things up, because you've got less things to go through as well. It saved my time and energy so much now that I've decluttered most of my holiday decorations, because I've just got a few boxes that I take out every year, and I'm only holding on to the decorations that I use now. Do you have any sports equipment that you're not using? Maybe you've done a sport in the past and you don't do that anymore. Maybe you've had an injury and you know you can't do those sports anymore. Maybe you're holding on to like an insane amount of balls. I got rid of so many rackets and balls recently, honestly. Maybe you've got things like old golf clubs that you don't use. So if those things are not getting used, they can take up so much room and it's just a waste. Give them to someone that is going to use them and is going to enjoy them, and you'll thank yourself for the newfound space that you've got. Have you got any beach equipment that you're not using? I recently got rid of a long rattan beach mat thing. I've now got a small compact mat that I will link down below for you. It is amazing because it's literally this big and I love it. Have you got garden equipment that you don't use? Any picnic tables? Garden furniture that you don't use? Maybe you're storing it away just in case family come over. Not so long ago I got rid of these stackable plastic chairs that I was holding on to just in case I have a barbecue, and to be honest, I didn't use them for 2 years and they took up like literally this amount of space in my garage. So I got rid of them. I actually sold them. Maybe you've got old brushes or old rakes or a garden hose that you don't use. Anything that's broken, have a little look through. This is also a little bit of an odd one, but declutter your boxes. So when you're going through these items and you're making space in these storage baskets or boxes that you've got, actually declutter those, because then you're not going to have it in your brain that you need to buy more things to fill up those boxes. It is a psychological thing, because I definitely do it. When you see an empty box, you just think, oh, that's an empty box, I need to fill that up. No, you do not. Get rid of that box. You can always give it away. You can always give it to charity. You do not need to keep it. Even some of these boxes you can resell as well. You don't need them. If you want to buy a box in the future, you can always just rebuy it. But to be honest, you are decluttering things, you're making room, and those boxes take up so much room, so you need to declutter that box as well, so you're making the room, if you understand what I mean. And the reason why I'm mentioning this last is because I'm going to be making a whole different video all about this topic, and that is toys. I've got 4 children, like I said. My boys are older now, they're 19 and 15, but I have got 7-year-old twins, and my 7-year-old twins still play with toys, but not as much as they used to. So I've been decluttering toys over the last 2 years, and especially in the last 6 months. I always do a toy declutter before Christmas anyway. So in the 2 months before Christmas, I'll go through the house and I'll declutter any toys that are not being used. I will try to resell them so I can use that money for more Christmas presents or to put towards clothes and things like that, which all really helps. And I know it can be a bit of a minefield and sometimes a little bit hard to get rid of toys, because sometimes as parents we hold on to toys because they are sentimental, and sometimes we hold on to toys because our kids won't let us get rid of them. Declutter those toys when your kids are not around. This is something that I do, and to be honest, if you think, do you know what, my kids might actually notice that certain toy has gone missing, you can always just put it in a box and maybe put it at the top of your wardrobe or out of the way in a garage or an attic or something like that, just in case they do ask for that thing again. If you're a little bit worried, you know your child really well and you know what they play with. If you know there are toys that they're not playing with, they haven't played with them for a really long time, things that they've grown out of, toys that are a little bit rubbish, you know, those toys that they just always go to, just keep those toys and declutter the rest. Honestly, you do not need like 50 billion board games. Board games is something that I find hard to get rid of, and I am going to do a separate video on how to store board games because I've got a really good hack. You don't need to go through it all in one go. I certainly don't. Just go through one box at a time. Like, you only need to spend 5 to 10 minutes. You could always spend up to half an hour. You don't need hours and hours, and you can sell things, you can donate things and give things to family and friends. If there's anything that you think could go in the bin, anything that's broken, just bin it. Honestly, don't worry about the money that you've spent on these things either. You'll thank yourself that you've got less to clear up, because with less toys in this house, I don't spend nearly as much time picking up after my kids, and honestly it saved so much time and energy. If you need any help with any of this, please comment in the comments box below. That's what I'm here for. I love helping. Have a lovely rest of your day and I'll see you soon.